Our next guest for 2026 is Rod Khleif. He's a sponsored guest on this show. He's got a fantastic story. An avid real estate investor. He owns properties throughout Florida. And his purpose for coming on today is mindset, how he lost 50 million in 2008. He's going to talk about the perspective shifts that helped him to come back stronger. Rod, welcome.
Oh, thanks, Christopher. Let's have some fun today. I'm looking forward to this. I host the real estate podcast for commercial real estate. I'm a Dutch immigrant. Think wooden shoes and windmills. I immigrated to this country when I was 6 years old with my brother Albert, my mother Svancha, and we ended up in Denver, Colorado. We didn't have much growing up. I remember we shopped at an expired food store, believe it or not. They had those back then. We drank powdered milk with our cereal in the morning because it was cheaper than real milk. Trust me, it sounds better than it is. I literally wore clothes from the Goodwill and the Salvation Army, hand-me-down clothes, all the way through junior high school till finally I got disgusted and lied about my age because I was tall when I was 14. Told him I was 15 at Burger King and got a job flipping burgers so I could buy my own clothes and ultimately buy a car. And I'm sure you've got listeners that had it harder than I did or even have it harder now with all the craziness, but I knew I wanted more. Luckily, my mom had an incredible work ethic. So she babysat kids so we'd have enough money to eat and whatnot. Always had a house full of kids. With her babysitting money, she was a bit of an entrepreneur. She invested in the stock market successfully, but also invested in real estate. Her first real estate acquisition was the house right across the street from us that she bought when I was about 14 for $30,000. Then a few years later, when I was 17, she told me that it had gone up 20,000. Keep in mind, this is 1977 when 20,000 was a lot of money. And I was like, what? You made 20,000, you didn't do anything? Well, screw college, I'm getting into real estate. So I got into real estate right when I turned 18. I got my broker's license, believe it or not. I could have had my own office. You could do it back then with education. They got smart now. You can't be a broker unless you have some experience. And I was smart enough to go work for a broker, but I was selling real estate. And I was still living at home. And my first year in real estate, I made about $8,000. My second year, maybe $10,000. But my third year, I made over $100,000, which back in 1980 was some pretty significant money. So what happened between year 2 and year 3 that caused me to 10x my income? What happened was I met a guy. It was a guy I was working for, actually. I was dating his daughter. He taught me about the importance of mindset and psychology, how really 80 to 90% of your success in anything is your mindset and psychology. Only 10 to 20% is the mechanical stuff we talk about on our podcast. Fast forward to today, Christopher, I've owned houses that I've rented long-term. I own apartment units now. In 2006, my net worth went up $17 million. Okay. You might say, wow. I said, wow. I got a head so big I could barely fit it through a door. I thought I was a real estate god. When that happens, God or the universe will give you a nice little smackdown. That was 2008. As you referenced in your intro here, I lost $50 million conservatively in the big crash of 08, 09. What I'm known for talking about is mindset it took $50 million to lose in the first place, but even more importantly, the mindset that I took to recover from that. Why that's relevant is because it's the same mindset you use to get started. If you're listening and you know you want financial freedom, you're going to want to take some notes because I'm going to give you some strategies that are fairly simplistic. They're how I had 50 million to lose and how I got it back. Happy to drill down on some of those strategies. The first thing we do is goal setting on steroids, because how do you get anything if you don't know what it is? Number one. Number two is you've got to create what Napoleon Hill in his book, Think and Grow Rich, the burning desire. You've got to have a hunger. You've got to want it because that's how you push through fear. That's how you push through limiting beliefs. Maybe you're comfortable. That comfort zone's a nice warm place. We all know nothing grows there, right? So when you've got that burning desire, you get back up when you get knocked down. I'll tell you, an average ability with burning desire is success is inevitable when you've got that hunger. Find what you love, figure out what your mission and purpose in life is. It starts with goal setting. Here's the sad reality. People spend more time planning a Christmas party than they do designing their lives. Doing your goals is designing your life. Go do it. Have your spouse do it. Have your kid, if they're over 10 years old, do it and design their life. I promise you, it's very powerful. So it starts with goals. Back when I lost everything, that's what I did is I had to reassociate with my goals. I hid under a rock for a few months, feeling sorry for myself, but then I was like, okay, get up. You got to go do something. That's the next piece. So I reassociated with my goals. Then I made a decision. Okay, enough's enough. It's time to take action. And once you make a decision, then you're 100% committed. When I say decision, I don't mean dip your toe in the water or 1 foot in, 1 foot out. I mean, it's done. A great analogy for a decision would be you're going to attack the island in battle and you burn your ships because you're taking their ships home. That's a decision. It's done. See, and once you've done that, you're like a train on a track. If you're just interested, quote unquote, you're going to get knocked off track. Motivation will get you started. But it's that commitment and that decision followed up by commitment that gets you home. So that's the decision. Then you've got to take the first steps. Dr. Martin Luther King said, you take that first step in faith, the next step will be revealed. Lao Tzu said the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, but you got to take that step. Sometimes it's the most scariest step and the most important step of your life. There are a lot of analytical people in my business in commercial real estate, multifamily units, senior housing, student housing, self-storage, you name it, because it's primarily empirical, primarily numbers. You get the numbers right, you ask all the right questions. It's pretty hard to make a big mistake. As an analytical person, if that's you, you can't do that. You're not going to see the whole road, and that's okay. You've got to trust and have some faith. A great analogy would be if you're going to drive across the United States at night with your headlight only seeing 50 feet in front of you, you can make it. Other people have made it before. You may have some obstacles, but it's the same way with business, candidly. If you're analytical, you're going to have some faith. I'll tell you something else. There's a law of the first deal. I see it all the time. It's 3 months. They don't have a deal yet. It's 6 months. I'm kicking in the butt. Come on, you got this. Go make it happen. Then get one. The next thing you know, they have 4. I'm like, what just happened? What happened was recognize it was all between their ears that was holding them back. Here's the thing. A lot of people fear failure. Don't fear failure. Fear regret. This woman in Australia, she was a hospice nurse, and she took care of patients when they were about to die. And she asked them a question. And the question was, do you have any regrets? And she wrote a book, a bestseller, The 5 Regrets of Dying. You know what the number one regret was? It was not living the life I could have lived, living someone else's life, not doing what I know I'm capable of. I can't think of anything worse than that. Don't fear failure. I call my failures seminars. That was a $50 million seminar. And that was an expensive freaking seminar. I have built businesses, everything from gold buying stores to carpet cleaning business to you name it, everything, mortgage companies. Out of those businesses, most of them were spectacular flaming seminars. We fail our way to success. Don't fear failure, fear regret. What is fear? F everything and run? That's what a lot of people think it is. I think it's definitely false evidence appearing real, no question. What we're fearing is the emotion of fear rather than the actual what we're fearful of. I believe it's face everything and rise. Successful people feel fear. Entrepreneurs call it stress. Successful people push through in spite of it. And that's the key. I want to mention limiting beliefs. When I immigrated, I didn't speak English. I got thrown into school. Then my mom, proud Dutch woman that she is, thought it'd be a great idea to send me to school in these wooden shoes. These are the actual freaking shoes. These leather shorts the Germans wear for Oktoberfest. So that was crack cocaine for the bullies. I found out what bullies were when I got my ass kicked wearing this stuff to school. Then the bullies would chase me home and she'd chase them off, ass beaten. I came up with this belief system that I wasn't good enough. I used to ask myself, how can I show them I'm good enough? Which obviously presupposed that I wasn't. A lot of people have limiting belief systems. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not old enough. I'm not young enough. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. I'm not analytical enough. If you're aware, there's a reason the acronym for belief systems is BS, because 99% of them are BS. We believe they're real. They have no basis. If you're aware of one, drag it out into the daylight. Look at it with your adult rational mind and recognize that it's BS. When you do that, if you consciously do that, when it pops up, you can get through these limiting belief systems. The next thing I want to talk about is focus. I'm proud of my podcast for my niche in commercial real estate. It's pretty good. I listen to 2 podcasts. One of them is Joe Rogan, and the other one is Tim Ferriss. I get both sides of the aisle. I know, Christopher, you're in Austin, Texas, where Joe Rogan is. I really enjoy his podcast. I want to talk about his interview with Elon and Tim Ferriss's show. I listen to both of them to try to get some balance. Tim Ferriss is more liberal and more democratic, and Joe is more Republican. I try to keep a balance. On Tim Ferriss's show, he interviews the best of the best in the world, best athletes like swimmer Michael Phelps, NFL, NBA players, best actors like Ed Norton, Hugh Jackman, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jamie Foxx, and billionaires like Ray Dalio, heads of the biggest companies on the planet like Zuckerberg. He deconstructs their success, and it's a fascinating conversation. What he does is show you how they became successful. Focus is power. Wherever focus goes, energy flows. The most successful people on the planet have the highest degree of focus. I started to hear a pattern on Tim's show. All of world-class, best in the world people meditate. Over 80% of them meditate. What does meditation enhance? Focus. Your focus is super important. Whatever you focus on gets larger, both positive or negative. I'll get people to call me and say, how do I get out of student loan debt? I say, wrong question. How do you make so much money the debt's irrelevant is the right question. Another example of that is they asked Mother Teresa if she was anti-war. She said, no, I'm pro-peace. You get the analogy there. It's really important that you pay attention to what you're focused on, that you're focused on what you want. It would have been very easy for me to focus on loss, focus on losing that $50 million. I just use it to teach at this point. On that note, I was listening to Elon Musk on his interview on Joe Rogan. He said something that was very sobering. With AI, your job is going to be gone within 3 years. I'm not trying to scare you, but you better be thinking about a pivot or reinventing yourself right now. If you primarily work in front of a computer, those jobs are going to be gone. Other jobs will be created, but you better think about reinventing yourself. If it's real estate you're interested in, get your butt, no excuses if that's what you want to do. If it's not real estate, figure out how you're going to reinvent yourself. Are you going to buy businesses? I think there's an opportunity to do that. There's a lot of people retiring, 10,000 people a day turning 65 in this country. A lot of them have businesses and they want to retire. So there's an opportunity there. There's incredible opportunity in real estate. There's a lot of deals in trouble because of what happened with the interest rates. There's incredible opportunity to capitalize, but you got to get up to speed. If you're in one of these IT jobs, be thinking about reinventing yourself. Don't wait for the shoe to drop. Start doing a side hustle, start learning something, whether it's real estate or whatever it is, go learn it now and get started. Don't get caught in a lurch. That's all I want to tell you. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm telling you, Elon Musk's a pretty smart guy. Talk about focus. We're $5 billion startups. You want to listen when he talks. The next piece is you got to play to your strengths. Your strengths are your greatest assets. In the multifamily commercial real estate business, there's a lot of different hats you can wear. You can be the person that finds the deals. You can be the person that underwrites the deals. You could be the mouthpiece that builds relationships with investors and brokers and sellers. You could be project management or construction, asset management. There's a lot of different hats you can wear. Play to your freaking strengths. Your strengths are your greatest assets. Don't try to maximize your weaknesses. You're going to get success much faster if you play to your strengths, you align, hire, or partner for your weaknesses. If you're playing to your strengths, number one, you're good at it and you love it. You never work another day in your life. The best partnerships I see in the commercial real estate space is an analytical person with an outgoing person. That's a match made in heaven. If you're not sure what your strengths are, do a Myers-Briggs profile or a DISC profile and figure out what your strengths and weaknesses are. Ask some of your friends, they'll tell you. But don't live someone else's life. When you're playing to your strengths, you're going to be passionate about it. Passion is required to influence people. In any business, you're going to need to influence people, potentially investors, sellers. When you're passionate, people want to be around people like that. When you operate from passion, your influence is greatly enhanced. Passion's that fuel. Figure out what juices you, inspires you, do that. Passion breeds creativity, innovation, and minimizes fear. Focus on doing that. A couple more pieces, your peer group. Show me your 3 best friends. I'll show you who you are in every aspect of your life, your health, your happiness, your relationships, your finances. Most people default to a peer group they went to school with or that they work with. Those people have their own fears or limiting beliefs, and they'll hold you back. They'll hold you back because they don't want to lose you. They don't want to feel less than if you succeed. You got to be real careful who you allow to influence you. Sometimes it's family. Love your family. Proactively choose your peers. Be around people that think what you think is hard is easy. Get in a group like that. Get around people that want to do this. Your peer group is super important. Be around people that rising tide lifts all ships. You want to be around people that want more out of life, that will push and hold you accountable. A great analogy for this, if you're going to learn tennis, do you want to play somebody better than you or worse than you? Another piece of don't fear failure. We fail our way to success. I told you about my businesses. Most of them were spectacular failures. I got to meet the billionaire owner of Spanx, Sarah Blakely. That's the women's that goes underneath their clothing and holds everything together. It's called Spanx. She's a beautiful soul. She told me at a mastermind that her dad used to ask her and her brother on about a weekly basis, what have you failed at this week? What an awesome question to ask your kids so they don't fear failure. If you don't have any problems, you're not failing, you're not trying anything respectfully. Maybe you're in the comfort zone. We also know nothing freaking grows there. If you want to change your life, you got to get uncomfortable. You got to embrace uncertainty. If you think back on any part of your life that you're really proud of, you'll recognize that you got uncomfortable. The next piece is going to sound a little foofy, but this is how I had 50 million to lose and how I got it back. The most powerful emotion we have available to us is gratitude. Why is it powerful? Because it makes us stronger when we face adversity. It strengthens our immune system, makes our heart stronger, lowers our blood pressure, and brings us closer to our spirituality. It's also how you attract everything you want into your life. You do it through gratitude. You can do it through prayer as well. Most mornings, I will sit in my recliner and I'll be grateful for the people, things that I love in my life. And then I'll do gratitude for the things that I want as if I already have them. I'll say, thank you, God, for this thing. I've gotten emotional being grateful for things I don't even have yet. This is how I had 50 million to lose and how I got it back. A quick story. We immigrated and I ended up in Denver, Colorado. I knew I wanted to live on the beach. There's no beach in Denver. I would visualize the palm trees and the sand and the surf and the waves. 20 years later, I built this incredible mansion on the beach. Unthinkable when I was 18, but I made it happen. I made it happen because I manifested it. 2 months after I moved in, I got really depressed. I'm like, what the hell's going on here? There were 3 things happening. You should never achieve a big goal without having other goals lined up behind it. The good book says, without a vision, the people perish. I didn't have a vision for the future. I didn't know what I was going to do next. The second piece was happiness doesn't come from achieving a goal. You need the goals to juice you and create that hunger to go kick ass and make things happen. Happiness comes from progress and growth. I didn't know how I was going to progress or grow beyond that. That was like this pinnacle of success. The third piece, the big one, was I was totally focused on me. Rod, show the world I mattered, blah, blah, blah. Show the world I'm good enough. That's the year I went and met Tony Robbins. And I spent 23 years following him around the planet. That first year I saw that he fed families for the holidays. And I was like, what a concept. Do something for someone else. Tony Robbins calls it the science of achievement versus the art of fulfillment. Achievement's a science. You got to go do it. Fulfillment is an art. You got to figure out what juices you. For me, it's children. It's also the elderly. Maybe for you, it's animals. Maybe it's the environment. Whatever it is, give back right now. That's how you get it back faster, is by giving it. That's how God works, the universe, whatever you believe. If you don't have a lot of money, give of your time, because power moves to those who serve. That's the way the universe works. Anything that doesn't contribute gets eliminated. I hope you'll check me out. Thank you for listening. Thanks for having me on the show, brother.
Thanks so much for a great podcast. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, my friend. It's great to meet you. Thank you.